Hello everyone and welcome to a new podcast which I've started, RX Binary, and I'm very happy to have Dr. Supraja Chandrasekhar with me.
Hi.
Namaste.
Namaste.
And it's a pleasure. She's Director of Pediatrics Services at the hospital, and she's done her MBBS from Medical College, Bangalore, and she's also a member of Royal College of Pediatrics and Child Health, MRCPCH from London. And there are a lot many things which we'll be discussing today, so please sit down, relax and enjoy this complete podcast because it's going to be very informational. And thank you so much, ma'am, to be a part of this podcast.
My pleasure.
Yeah, so there have been a lot of doubts regarding child health these days. So I would just like to start off by asking you a few questions. But before that, would you like to say something regarding pediatrics? What would you see these days happening?
I don't know about these days, but every day when I wake up and I come to see children, I'm so grateful. I'm absolutely blessed to be a pediatrician. They are so wonderful and so nice to interact with. So I love doing what I do.
Yeah, so basically you must be seeing daily parents coming down here. Yeah. So what are the main concerns you might be looking at, what parents have in their mind?
Very right, Abhishek. Actually, nowadays there's a complete transition from how it was, let's say, my generation 40 years ago to what it is now. Everything about a child's lifestyle has completely changed. How they eat, how they play, as well as how they connect. So keeping all this in background, I wouldn't say it's something bad or something good, but it has changed and it's a transformational change. So we need to adapt and we need to look at it in this context, then we would know. So parents who were initially in joint families are now in nuclear families, and nuclear families away from home. So they don't have much of support and they rely on either the internet or on friends and neighbors for advice. And that's where the confusion starts. They don't have the luxury of experience.
So basically, you might be seeing a lot of parents going through Google or on WhatsApp, a lot of forwards, and they do their own research. So what would you like to say them, They have their own way of thinking.
So the first thing is I actually appreciate them because they have done their homework. They want to know. So I can see what I see is not, I don't get threatened by it. I actually see a lot of concern. It's because they were concerned that they actually sat through the night with ChatGPT or whatever they have been doing and find out about it. Now that they have a background knowledge, yes, it may sometimes cloud them because they would have a preconceived notion like, okay, this is this condition or this is not this condition or I need antibiotics for this. So the only way to penetrate that is through science. So I just sit down and tell them, right, this is what you think it is, and these are point A, B, C, D, E, and there are two ways in which we can do it, and this is what I would choose. What do you think about it? So when we both partner in caring for the child, that's when it actually works.
Exactly. And also, you might also see a lot of parents who get panicked when their child is going through a fever or something. What are the common mistakes you feel the parents do while a kid gets fever?
I think that's a very basic question to start with, and I completely agree with you. Abhishek, do you know that many parents don't know what is a fever? So first thing we need to recognize, when is a baby actually told to have a fever? As we know, fever is a rise in body temperature. The body temperature rises for various conditions. Even if the ambient temperature is hot, the body temperature rises. That's not a fever. A fever is when it rises beyond a particular temperature as a protective response to help the body as part of the inflammation. Now, we call it a fever only when it rises above 99.5 degree Fahrenheit and when you use a thermometer in the armpit. You just have to read the reading. Most often, I find parents touching the forehead and say, "My bisigide, illa solpa jara ide, hagagi nan medicine kottbittidini." I do relax. First, let's understand what is fever. So once we know the cutoff for fever, we need to see if it's a happy, playful child. We don't have to actually treat it. We just have to wait and watch and see where there are any danger signs. So it's always good to know what are the danger signs. And generally when the temperature rises above 100 or 101, that's when the child becomes a little uncomfortable, especially when they are younger. They tend to get dehydrated or cranky and fussy and they won't eat or tend to vomit. That's when we give paracetamol to treat the fever. But even before you go to medicine, I would suggest first remove all the excessive clothing, the muffler, the cap, the sweater, because the temperature has to come out of the body. It shouldn't get in. And that's when babies can have complications, like even the worst thing is to have a little bit of a seizure, etc., because we don't allow the temperature to come out.
So also talking about antibiotics, ma'am, what do you think, when are the antibiotics really required and when they are not required? Because this is a confusion a lot of people have. They just tend to give medicine whatever they have,
This is a question very close to my heart, so I really want everyone to get the point. So first of all, antibiotic is a medicine that we give to kill bacteria. So when there are bacteria, we are going to kill it. So the first and foremost question is, where is the bacteria? We need to know what are we killing and where is it. So we need to have something called as a focus of infection. We can't just randomly give it. Secondly, if we give it for a viral infection, be it COVID, dengue, flu, it is not going to work because antibiotics have zero effect on viruses. Okay. Now, what happens when we give it when there is no bacteria? It is going to kill whatever bacteria we already have within us, which is very important for our body functions. You must have heard about the good bacteria or
Yes.
the good bugs. So it's going to remove that from our body and make our immunity further worse, make our digestion even worse, make the child have bloating, gassy, not feeding, etc. The most important thing about antibiotics are, when we use it, when we don't need it, there are certain bacteria which are always sitting on our skin, sitting in our nails, etc. They don't do any harm, but they start getting the effects of this and they become clever, so they become resistant. And in times of weakness, these resistant bugs get into us, and that's when these antibiotics won't work. So if we go from one to another, there comes a time when we don't have any antibiotics left. And we have lost patients because there was no antibiotic which is working. So antibiotic has to be always prescribed. It can never follow the old prescription. You can't just take it off.
So basically, like I have seen some parents, when they see this is the symptom, so let's give him the same medicine.
Absolutely wrong, because the exact same symptoms, let's say it is cough, cold, and child being dull, that could be a simple adenoid cold infection. It could be even a part of a ear infection. It could be a throat infection, or it could be a pneumonia. But the symptoms can be the same.
Okay.
So we cannot treat someone just based on the symptoms. We need to know exactly what is affected and where.
Yes.
And based on that, we would know, if it's a throat, it's probably going to be 90% viral, 10% a bacteria called streptococcal. That's when only in certain conditions we give the antibiotics. But as a parent, I won't know. I would just know, the same symptoms were there, cold, cough, and the baby being dull. Let me give the same amoxicillin.
Yes.
So a few months or years later, amoxicillin won't work for the baby. So that's very important.
In fact, just recently I had heard a interview or a Man Ki Baat from our Prime Minister. He said, don't use antibiotics left, right and center. Basically, that's
very true. I have parents coming to me and saying, "Jorane kadime aagta illa, doctors want antibiotic kottbidi." I said, see, to reduce the temperature, we can give 2-3 medicines. But reducing the temperature is not the important thing. Why is the fever there? So you need to go to the source. If the source is bacteria, then first we need to take a sample. So let it be a culture from the throat or a urine sample or a blood sample, and then give the antibiotic. Because when the test reports come, you can match it and you can say, this is the correct thing.
Yes.
Do you know that little babies less than 1 year are getting urine infections in our and in our community very commonly? And when we checked them in our hospital, we did a study. Out of 100 children who had urine infection, 87% of them were not responding to the first line antibiotic and the second line antibiotic. They were little children less than 1 year. Because why is that happening? Because all the bacteria in the community have already become stronger, and these poor little kids get it, and after that we can't use it at all. Why did that happen? Because we all just randomly use these antibiotics for colds, for coughs, etc. And now our babies are struggling.
So basically, that's very important, that whenever you consult a doctor, they will exactly tell you what is required for the particular problem you are facing.